Hello, welcome to Reso Coder. In this tutorial, you're going to learn how to make a virtual currency in-game shop in Unity. We're going to be using JSON strings to store the data about the items that are going to be in the shop. So first up, let's make a JSON file. So to make a JSON file, you will make a simple text file, name it like tutorial, and not .txt but .json. Press enter. Yep, I do want to change it. And open it up in Visual Studio 2017 or your favorite text editor. It doesn't really matter all that much. So to write JSON, you will add two curly braces. Then we want to have an array of items that are going to be in the shop. The array is going to be named items, all right, colon, and now two square brackets. Then we want to add objects to this array, and an object is denoted as two curly braces, and in those two curly braces we're going to have some fields or attributes, if you like. I actually don't know how they're properly called in JSON, but in C# these would be fields. So we'll have a field named name, and this tutorial is going to be really generic, so we'll have a knife in here. Then we want to have whether or not this item is already bought. This will be a boolean, and this is already going to be bought because this is the default item that the player is going to start with. So true, it is already bought. Then selected. Yep, it is also selected because this is the default item. True. And also we want to store its price. And this is going to cost 100, let's say that our currency is coins. Then you'll add comma and copy this. We're going to have 5 items, so yeah, and this is going to be like, I don't know what, something else, and I'm going to change these values, add new objects. I'm going to be right back. Alright, so I've changed the values, added new objects, and we are good to go with this JSON. However, we want to make a JSON string, not just a plain JSON, because at least in this tutorial, the technique I am using requires JSON string. So let's copy all of this text and go to codebeautify.org. By the way, this will be linked in the description down below the video or next to the video, depends where you're viewing it. Obviously, guys, I'm not using Microsoft Edge as my day-to-day browser. It's just for the purpose of this video. Don't worry, guys. So we're going to paste this text in here, and we are going to click on minify, which is going to do a simple thing. It's just going to write it as one single line of text. We're going to copy this, go back to codebeautify, and go to C# escape unescape, paste it, that one line, paste it right in there, and we're going to press on escape. Alright, so we'll leave it in here, leave the browser open, and let's go back to Unity Editor. So, inside Unity Editor, you see that I've done some things prior to recording this video, and it's just some simple stuff. I've added 2 text objects, which will display the amount of coins the player has and the name of the selected item. And also I've added 5 buttons. Now, we have to go to the asset store and search for Boom Lagoon JSON. All right, this is it. We're going to import it into our project. And we're going to use this asset to parse the JSON string. This string is going to get parsed into an object that C# can understand, and we're going to work with it as with standard, beautiful C# object. All right, we can close this now, I think. Cool. So let's go back to Unity, and we'll write a script. But before we write the script, let's make a new empty game object. Let's name this game object, for example, manager. All right, and put it up top. Cool. I like the concept of managers inside Unity because it makes things much easier. So now it's time to write or create a new C# script. Let's name it, for example, inventory. Cool. Open it up in your favorite code editor. I'm using Visual Studio 2017 RC as of now. All right. And delete all of this. We've just imported this asset named Boom Lagoon JSON, and we're going to be using it in our inventory script. So using Boom Lagoon.json. Cool. Then we'll need to keep, at least I always like to keep track of the current instance of this inventory script. So public static inventory instance. This is going to be property and get and only private set. That means that we can only set it from within the inventory class and not from anywhere else. Then we have to make a field which will hold the JSON object that's going to have in it the parsed JSON string. So private JSON object items data. All right. And for the ease of use, we'll have a list that's going to contain all the data about our objects. We're going to pull that data from this JSON object. All right. So we'll write public static list. And now, because our JSON string or these individual JSON objects have these fields like name, bought, selected, and price, what we want to store in this list, which is going to represent the array, this items array inside our C# script, we need to have all of these fields stored in this list. So what we need to do here is create a public class that's going to contain just that. So it's going to contain name, whether it's bought, whether it's selected, and its price, the item's price. So public class shop item and public bool. I cannot write today, I'm sorry. Bool bought selected, then public int price and public string name. We'll also write a constructor for this class, public shop item. And I'll be back when I write this constructor because it's really quite exhaustive. Alright, so now that we have that, we can move on. So this list is going to be of type shop item. And we'll name it items. Simply. Alright. Then we'll also need to keep track of coins that the player has. So we'll create a property named coins. So public, it's also going to be static. Public static int coins. And this is going to be get and only private set. Private set is here because it's going to be more secure. Then we'll write a awake method, so void awake. Cool. So now in this awake method, we're going to set the inventory instance to this. So instance equals this. So when you call from somewhere else the inventory dot instance, it's going to return this particular instance. And now we're going to be using player prefs to store the strings and to store the integers. Obviously, you could use something more elaborate, but player prefs is used in this tutorial for ease of use. So yeah, if not player prefs dot haskey. So basically, this means if the game is ran for the first time, if it doesn't have a key called items, then we're going to set string items, set string with key of items, and the string is going to be this escaped string from here. So copy this, paste it in here, and this is the string that's going to be stored in this player pref. Also, we want to initialize the player with 5,000 coins. So player prefs dot set int coins, and 5,000 is going to be the value. All right. Now we want this coins property to be updated to the current amount of coins that the player has that's been just loaded or set right now. So coins equals player prefs dot get int with key of coins. Then we'll parse this JSON string into this JSON object items data. So items data equals JSON object dot parse, and this JSON string, which is in player prefs dot get string with key of items. All right. So this is going to get parsed. And we'll also make an instance of this list. So items equals new list with generic type of shop item. and just nothing supplied as an argument for the constructor. All right. Now we want to go through each and every one of these objects inside this JSON string array. So we need to make a for loop. So for int I equals 0, I is less than items data, which is this JSON object. Items data that we want to get array from this object. Get array with key of items. And we want to get the length of this array for now. And obviously we want to increment I. And now we already have everything about these items stored inside our JSON string. What we want to do is store these informations about these items inside our items list as well. So we'll write or we'll actually add new elements to the items list. Dot add, and we want to add new shop item, which is our class here, shop item. So we want to add new shop item, and this is going to invoke the constructor, and we have to supply the boolean bought, boolean selected, and so on and so on. So the boolean bought is accessed or can be accessed like this. So we want to go to the items data, which is our JSON object over here. So items data dot, again, get array, because that is where all the objects are actually stored inside that array called items. So get array with key of items, and on the index I dot object dot, because this is getting us an object and we want to get a boolean from that object, and the key of this boolean should be bought. All right, because we want to get this from here. All right. So bought, then we want to also supply additional arguments to the constructor, and I'll be back when I finish it. Here we're casting to an int because this returns double, but we want to have an int in there, so that's why there's this casting. And then after we add this particular object to the list of items, we also want to check if the item that was currently added, so if items on the index of I is selected, and if it is selected, then we want to do, oh yeah, we actually don't have that now, but we want to add this property in here. That property is going to be called selected item index, because we actually need to keep track of the selected item, or rather its index. So public static int, because this is going to return an index, selected item index, and this is going to be a property, and it's going to have public getter and private setter. All right, now we can use this inside our for loop. So selected, how is it called? Selected item index So selected item index equals not square brackets equals I. All right. That's all we have to do inside this for loop, and actually inside this awake method. Now we will write our own methods for selecting an item and for buying an item. So first up, we'll make a method for selecting an item. So public void, it doesn't need to return anything, select item, and it's going to accept one argument of type int, and we'll name it index, which is going to be the index inside our items list, or also the index inside our items array inside this JSON object. I hope you can keep up with this. And the implementation will be rather simple. So first we'll make a linear search, although this could be optimized, but for the sake of simplicity, it's not going to hurt anybody because we have only 5 items. But if you had like 1,000 items in a shop, you might do something else than just linear search because it's going to get slow. For int I equals 0, I is less than items.count I++, and when we select a new item, we obviously want to unselect the previously selected item. So that's what we are trying to accomplish inside this for loop. So we go like if items on the index of I dot selected. So if it is selected, then we want to unselect it inside our list. So items I dot selected equals false. False. All right. And also we want to unselect it inside our JSON object, because we will later parse this JSON object back to the player prefs. So after we close the game and open it up, we are not going to lose our progress. So items data dot get array with key of items, and on the index of I we want to get an object dot get value. When you want to set something, you have to get value. When you want to just get a value, you can just write get boolean, right? Or you can write get number. But if you want to set a value, you first have to write get value. Then you specify the type of the value. We have to get value, and we want to have the key of selected. And now you specify which kind of value it is. So this is in fact a boolean, and we want to set it to false, just like we did here. Cool. And now that we've unselected the previously selected item, we want to select the new item. So we can just copy this, because this is going to be really similar, right? So items, but not on the index of I, but on the index of argument index or parameter index. So index equals true. And also here on the index, we want to make it true. All right. And now we also want to change the selected item index, which is the property that keeps our currently selected item index, obviously. So selected item index equals index. As simple as that. And in order to for these changes that the player makes, so when he buys something or when he selects something, we need to save, or we need to make this items data to string, and then when it's converted to string, we need to save that string inside the player prefs. So we will write player prefs dot set string on the key of items, and the string that's going to be saved there is going to be our recently changed items data dot to string, and also we need to save the player prefs, so player prefs dot save. All right, now we'll write a buy item, and this is going to be much simpler than the select item because we are actually going to be using this method to save the items data, the JSON object. You'll see in a little while. So public void buy item int index, and if, right, we have to write another method which is going to actually check if we can subtract coins. So if we aren't going to get into negative values, because you don't want to get into negative values with coins, obviously. So public bool, or not public bool, this can be actually private bool, subtract coins int value that's going to be subtracted, and if coins minus value is less than 0, we want to return false, because it's just not possible to buy that item if we have the negative balance, because we don't have enough coins, right? So return false. Return, oh damn it, I really cannot write today properly. So false. And then if it is possible to buy this item to subtract the amount of coins, we want to write coins minus equals value, and then we also want to update the player prefs, so player prefs dot set int on the key of coins, and the value is going to be coins that we have recently changed, and we want to return true. Alright, and in the buy item method we'll write if subtract coins returns true, so subtract coins, and the value that's going to be subtracted from the coins is on the item, in the items list, on the index of index, and we want to get the price. Cool. So if this returns true, if this method returns true, we want to actually buy that item. So items on the index dot bought equals true. And also we will copy this because it's just much easier to copy it than to write it again, because it's quite a long line of code. So, alright, then we want to get value bought, and it equals true. Cool. So now that we have that, then we want to select item, because when you buy an item, you most likely want to also select it. So select item, and index is going to be the same as this index that's passed into this method. And what this does is actually, when we call select item, we don't need to save anything to player prefs in this method, because it's going to, this change is going to get saved inside this select item method. And yeah, so that's about it for this first part of this tutorial, in which we've done quite a bit of back-end stuff. In the next part, we are going to do the front end. That means that we are gonna connect this inventory script to the buttons and to the text objects. I hope that you learned something new and valuable from this video, and that you also enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like and share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, and see you in the next video.